Absolver is a game released in 2017 which mimics a Souls-like feel but with martial arts movesets. The game revolves around 3 classes, each with its own unique attacks and defenses. So for example, one of the classes has the ability to parry, whilst another class has the ability to absorb damage. But the question is this game worth playing in 2020 with friends? Let's dive in. So the current game state is kind of interesting. You follow the story of a collapsed empire as you fight your way to join the elite in a series of tests. Just to briefly cover this off, the game itself is no longer in development. Developers have already said that they're no longer interested in working this game, so that's just how it is. The game itself, though, has a few hundred players every day, which sounds dead, but for a 2017 indie game, trust me, it's actually not bad. I can show a variety of examples of indie games which are completely dead, like you only get like 1 or 2 people playing the game. Right now, in the current game, there's around 3 to 6 hours of co-op gameplay you can play together. So I'd say it depends on your skill level, how fast you get through the game, of course. But yeah, I mean, in general, it's not too many hours of gameplay, so you gotta keep that in mind. However, there is a lot of replayability. So there are a lot of players who actually stick to the game because they love doing the PvP aspects of it, creating a guild, and actually training yourself and getting more movesets and bursting others, right? So that's I guess the additional content you can look at. I always take a look at the whole concept around, is it easy to play with each other? Absolver follows an interesting system. So you can connect with 2 other players in your game, where you essentially share the map or instance. If you're playing with friends, in order to connect, you go to this bonfire. So like in Dark Souls, a bonfire kind of structure, and you can connect through them through basically having a key keyword that both of you match in. So for example, if you want to connect with one of your friends, you will set your keyword as something really unique like dog eats breakfast, and then your friend just needs to type the same keyword to connect. Now that's an interesting system, and I think it's overall like not too bad. You don't have to host any of your servers, which is always a big tick for me. The only issue I have with the networking is if you go to a certain area. So there are certain instances where you have to do it solo. Once you leave, they don't reconnect you, and that can be annoying. So it's similar like in Dark Souls, where you finish a boss and then after the boss you go to like the next area and your friend isn't automatically connected to you. So that is one thing to keep in mind. It can be slightly annoying because the areas where you have to reconnect aren't obvious in the game, so you should probably keep that in mind if you're playing with someone a bit more noob friendly or someone who doesn't really play games. Absolver's co-op gameplay is, I would say, mediocre. So obviously you can play with friends and you can definitely do certain bosses with your friends. There are a lot of areas in the game that needs to be done solo, especially the more harder bosses. So if you're playing with a more newbie gamer, you're going to expect some delay in getting past the game because they might take some time to defeat it. On difficulty note, it's not too difficult. So if you play Dark Souls, I would say it's a lot easier than Dark Souls, but the mechanics are a lot more interesting. So with Dark Souls, obviously you get to change your weapons, but a lot of the times you're dodging through the dodge rolls. In this game, you have a few options. So you can parry, you can absorb damage, and you can dodge as well. So it depends on what class you choose and the defenses options that they give you with that class. So in a way, the game itself is quite interesting, but I wouldn't really play it for the multiplayer personally. It's okay, but there are definitely better games out there with better multiplayer options. However, if you're into PvP and you're doing co-op for the PvP, I would think this game has pretty good mechanics. I really enjoy playing a bit after the campaign. I did try out some of the PvP, and it is pretty fun in my opinion. It is quite interesting, the mechanics, and there's a lot of mechanics versus Dark Souls, where a lot of the times you just need to know, to be honest, how to roll and how to dodge and how to use specific weapons in specific situations. I think the game itself has potential, but unfortunately, just because the developers have lost interest in the game, it does lose a lot of points in this area, so keep that in mind. So I'm just going to end this review with 2 thoughts. So firstly is, I would only play this game with 1 person. I wouldn't touch it with 2 people because it does get too easy for the areas which are multiplayer, and honestly that isn't fun. So you might as well just play one person or even just by yourself, and I think that's a lot more fun. The second note is I wouldn't buy this game right now unless it's heavily discounted. So I would put it on your Steam wishlist and just wait until it gets discounted. Recently it did a 90% discount, so you're probably going to get more of those in the future, to be honest. So just keep an eye out. I would definitely try this game out. It definitely is something that I think is very interesting, has really good mechanics in terms of the martial arts, and also if you like Souls-like games, then perfect, so you should just try it out. But once again, only buy it on discount, and I would probably stay away from it if it's full priced. And if you're looking for a very full-fledged co-op game, this probably isn't that, but it does have multiplayer, and the multiplayer is pretty smooth, so that's just to keep in mind.